Well, we are back with Neil and Sharol Josephson. And I love what you said just before the break there, Neil. I think this relational apologetics, because I do believe that love always wins. And I think the best model of showing and demonstrating what that looks like is a healthy marriage. But one of the key topics that you cover in the mentoring program is communication style differences. So can you give us some tips that have helped many couples in this area?
Sure, because I mean, there's lots of us that say, I want a better marriage, but how do you do it? Well, communicating better is a great tool. And we're so different. Here's one really common one: the internal processor, the external processor, somebody who needs to collect their thoughts before they express them, and somebody who's more like me just starts talking and figures it out on the fly. Well, the way this hurts a marriage is the internal processor is just collecting their thoughts. The external processor thinks, oh, they don't care what I'm talking about because they're not even
Or they're not paying
participating.
attention.
Yeah, they're daydreaming, and so then they start talking some more, and then the internal processor says, I was just about to get my act together and say something. And then eventually they both give up on each other,
Yeah.
and that's a common one.
Yeah, the internal processor just gets tired of trying to keep up with
Yeah.
the highly verbal person. Another great one I love is the magnifier minimizer. So a minimizer is the person who handles their stress by kind of lowballing
And this is
everything,
me.
right? This is Neil.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna
Grace,
work out.
babe, we got
Yeah.
this. It's easy, we got it. Um, Whereas the magnifier is a person who kind of feels things big and takes things
Mhm.
to 11. And if you're married to the other, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
see the dynamic, right? The minimizer's going and the magnifier saying, like, they don't understand how serious this is. So I got to amp up the ante here. And so
Yeah.
then you've got one person magnifying way beyond what they actually feel, and the other person tamping everything down. It's a crazy dynamic.
And here's a quick hack for you. If you find yourself in that cycle, ask each other this: on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this to you? And then it sort of comes back to center. Then yeah, that might help you.
I love that.
That's really good advice because I'm sure, opposites attract. So I'm sure there's always a communication challenge in really every relationship. But that's really great advice. Sharol, you've currently trained over 1,000 mentor couples. I love that. Tell us a story of the impact of mentoring that you've witnessed from this mentoring.
Oh, well, there's stories all across the country. I think what we hear most often from young couples is, first of all, they're very eager to be mentored.
Hmm.
Millennials and younger generations,
Hmm.
they've grown up being coached, they've grown up having
Hmm.
mentors, they're very comfortable with that. Our generation, much less so. We sort of
Hmm.
kept it
More
to
private.
ourselves, kept it private, and the marriage would disintegrate, and people didn't even know what was going on because it was all behind the curtain.
Mhm.
Right? Younger couples aren't like that. They're looking for help. They're quite willing to be open and honest and with about their relationship. The problem is finding mentors. That's the real problem. The young couples want mentors, finding them. And so we just decided that we were going to help train older adults,
Mhm.
people who've been married for a while, and how to mentor and how to make it super easy. So we developed 14 conversations, includes questions. So it's basically you just kind of read through the questions if you're really uncomfortable. It's usually what you do it for the first while, and then you start to just feel comfortable with it. But 14 crucial conversations, everything from how couples divide their household responsibilities to where do
Mhm.
you do holidays to conflict management to
In-laws.
sex to in-laws to faith and spirituality, because sometimes couples come at that very
Mhm.
differently. So these are just important conversations, and the mentors guide them through it. And it's really just good listening is what it takes, actually.
Well, I think that's brilliant. I love this idea of a marriage mentor because I think we lost that element in society, right? That's the way
Yep.
societies for a long time functioned. The older would teach the younger, and we've lost that. So if someone wants to be a marriage mentor, what qualifies them and how would they take the next step to maybe becoming one?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And if people are listening, this is to you. Just believe that God's the one who does the work. Like if you think you're going to fix these youngsters, then don't get in the
Don't
game.
become mentors.
God's the one who actually makes the difference. But God uses people, right?
Right.
So we can be the guide, the mentor, the encourager, the question asker. So believe that God does the work. Secondly, you have to really be other focused. You really want to help this younger couple. And so, how can I encourage you and help you discover more faith, more love, more stability in your marriage? That's if you have that heart, trust God, and you're focused on them, not yourself. then you'll be good mentors.
And you don't have to have a perfect marriage to
shouldn't,
be
actually.
good members or mentors, because actually you shouldn't. Yeah.
No,
It's out
no.
of that life experience that you have some things to offer to
Yeah,
these
that's
younger
good.
couples.
Be honest. Yeah.
Well, I think that's so powerful because I believe God puts us in people's lives for a reason. And so I think for our viewers who are watching, who maybe you have a young couple or a younger couple in your sphere of influence, that is a gift and a responsibility. And so I think that's really fantastic advice. And maybe for younger couples watching, maybe they're struggling. What was a quick word of advice you'd maybe give them?
Keep believing. We talked the very first question today. Don't buy the narrative that when you're having a difficulty, you're a bad couple or you're married to the wrong person. That's endemic to two lives becoming one. So don't give up, and then look for somebody older who just say, "Can we buy coffee for you?" And we need some encouragement. Can I just mention, if people are interested in mentoring, check out FamilyLifeCanada.com. We have an online orientation next January 21st, but there's way more to know at FamilyLifeCanada.com.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Well, we have all the links. Go to 700club.ca for more about Family Life Canada. Thank you so much, Neil and Sharol, for what you're doing. I think you hit it right on the head. You don't have to have a perfect marriage. You just got to be willing to do life with other people. So good. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's our pleasure.